Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Impossible World Podcast. Today we are going to be continuing with our crazy tale and world to come. By the way, at a certain point in part 1, I think, I was saying that I would be able to tell you guys when the jumping off point truly was. And yes, part 1 was that to a degree, setting up the world. You guys should go nuts. If you guys have watched up to this point, maybe you like the idea of artifacts, and you want to do something with that as well. But we are not there yet. When Hell Night ends and things happen, when I set up the rest, in the way that I do, and some of you guys might be like, I hate the way you did it. I would rather you just stayed within this weirdo realm. Sure. But that's not where we're going, because again, I kind of want to set up after this, because it basically, the whole story, to a certain degree, our main characters, the reason why they're pretty strong is because they made the best of their situation. They accepted who they were. They were stronger together. And because of that, them being in this space, this Hell Night, they were rewarded handsomely for it. But unless things just get really boring, I need to set up other rules and other ways for everyone else. So basically, I need to make a way for them to shine. And if I don't take these precautions, then they will never really get to that point. So that there's something that we do after they get upgraded, so that they can really shine in the world that they're about to inhabit. We're not jumping worlds. We're staying on Earth and that kind of shit. So we're not doing that. But anyways. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to have you. We will be continuing right where we left off. So if you guys have not seen the previous part, essentially recap. Well, not a full recap, a small recap. Our boy Crowley / demon dude, he got his ring, and at this point he's feeling a little bit better about feeling like a weakling in the world because of his prefects, his prefects that he hates. Like, again, why did I choose, or why didn't I just have a gun? Like, if I had a pistol, then maybe it would be like, okay, we'll just make you really good with guns. So his demon power would be transferred through that, and he's just proficient with weapons. Awesome. But he didn't. He didn't bring any prefects, so the demon thing found a way, and it found out that he loves building things, crafting things, etc. So it went all down that route. But, kind of like in MMOs, it takes a lot to get the ball rolling if you're only spec'd into that thing, crafting and all these things. But anyways, he feels a lot better now that he has his thing. He's able to see what he is, what his passives are, and of course, when he opens up, I should have mentioned this, he sees that one of his passives is terror, which is based on the monsters or the demon's rage or anger or emotional encumbrance, whatever. He'll exude terror / malice, and if people get affected by terror differently, some people get angry and fight back and feel like trapped, and other people just act like they would normally not act. And the radius gets bigger, the greater his emotion and the greater the power level that he is. So in the back of his head, he's like, uh-oh, so if I get stronger, this gets more. And he's like, this is not good. This is something that's a problem. But per se, there's a relic that helps trap that shit. And I honestly, I came up with that beforehand, but then I realized, oh shit, Ein Zulgon in Overlord has that same ring. And I was like, all right, well, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to, but it's going to be a thing as well. That's one of the relics he gets. Anyways, spoiling things. So now we got different beats to hit. So, because we're going to go get our werewolf's relic. For those guys who don't remember, big reason why Crowley was able to get through the encounter is because our main character was the one punching the things to oblivion. Awesome. But Crowley did put in some work as well. But whilst kind of tapping into that strength from the werewolf bit back and kind of like, wait, why are you like using my power when you haven't even gotten me your thing? I thought maybe you were doing that's what this was. Bullshit, he took it. That's not even mine. That's some bullshit demon shit. I know that's fake. you bastard. So it started to pop out, but then it settled back down, almost as the main character realized that that's what the beast was pissed off. And then was like, okay, well then I'll go get you your thing. And then the beast kind of was like, all right, like, if you lie to me, I swear to God. I'm very much painting the wolf as like this ex-girlfriend character that's like, how dare you? But I mean, maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But what is happening is that we need to get our character to the location in the woods because that's where I have that setting lined up. Werewolf Woods kind of makes sense, at least in my head. His enemy type is, what do you call it? Trees, like vine creatures. Like if you guys have ever seen in Skyrim, there were like these kind of very pretty like wood carving people that were like they were like elven looking things, kind of like that, except a lot more gross and not like beautiful in a sense, you know, like curvy and all these things. So we need to get him there. We also need him to experience a very, very different kind of thing. So the way he gets this relic is very different from how every other relic was attained this far. And then the third thing is that we really need to cement that, okay, like kind of Crowley and his determination, I guess you'd call it. Sure. Because yeah, I want them to, I don't want there to be any doubt, because beforehand I was kind of painting Crowley as this like, okay, well I don't have any skills yet, so I'm kind of just, I kind of need this person to be, if anything, my blade to cut through the stuff so that I can even make a blade and be strong on my own. So yeah, we need to get to a point where there's a choice where he chooses to say, okay, fuck, I'll stay and fight for this moment, and that'll happen when he gets his relic. But anyways, so that's the beats we're trying to hit. Let's see if we can hit them. But anyways, we want to have a goofy fun time, but also the main character to kind of point something out to Crowley, which is the fact that, okay, you're coming with me to go get this relic. There probably will be some bad stuff there. And sure, let's say Crowley's like, well, you could just turn into a wolf and fight everybody. And then our character's like, no, it's almost like in every bit of bestiary, whatever. The wolf always just like kills the people around him. It's like a bad thing. It's like you get power, but you fucking annihilate anything in your way, and that'd be you as well. So then Crowley's like, okay, bad idea. Let's not do that. So then our main character is like, okay, well, what can you create? Like, you're a craftsman, right? Can you make anything? And then the Crowley opens up his hand. He's like, not yet. Nope. I'm still very behind on a lot of this shit. Also, I need these materials. Like, he lists off a bunch of these materials, and at this point, you're walking through the streets as well. And again, at this point, maybe we want to add a conversation that they had. Sure, let's say that our main character, they got out of the house and they were like, okay, we need to go that way. And Crowley's like, why? And I'm like, I think that's how it works. Sure, it's because the main character's aware about monster things more than other people. He says, I think that's how it works. We follow our instincts. We let the beast take us to where we need to go. And that's how we find these things. And Crowley's like, okay, I guess. Anyway, so they start making their way in a direction. And they start having this conversation in the meantime. So the main character says, okay, well, you need certain resources to craft some things. And then they walk by a car. And then the main character says, you mean like resources like that? And then Crowley's like, no, not like, so the main character says, well, can you make anything? Anything. Like, you make a little shield, that'd be something. I feel better. He's like, the main character's like, okay, I know I can like kind of survive, but you're gonna die. So then Crowley says, okay, well, let me see. And he puts his hand on the vehicle, and he closes his eyes, and you hear a bunch of these little kind of things happen within the vehicle, like a bolt fall off, the tires deflate, the engine kind of rustle, and everything kind of shakes. And then right beside the vehicle, sure, let's say there's like this demonic, like, witch circle. The classic like magic circle thing where it's like a circle and it's got a bunch of these grooves and star in it and all these things. Sure, let's say that thing right beside the car, big circle happens and like basically transports or like scans in this kind of tanker looking thing. So then Crowley walks over, picks it up, and he's like, "It's nothing special. It's just something that I remember creating from an old beer car that I did when I was, let's say, 7, because he's a fucking whiz when it comes to tearing apart things and putting them back together. Should be something." And then he pulls back the handle, and of course a fire comes out. So he's made like an impromptu little kind of little flamethrower. And again, the main character fanboying, he's like, "That is the coolest thing I've ever fucking seen in my life. What a wicked thing." And as he's saying that, and Crowley's feeling pretty proud about what he's done, the whole car just goes and completely like falls in on itself, and like he used all manner of bolts from this innocent car, and all the doors fall off, and the whole thing gets basically junked. And the main character's like, what? And then Crowley's like, "Let's go. We're leaving. Move. And then, of course, they go more towards the forest, sure, let's say that. Like, they're away from the city, more and into the forest. And whilst they're moving through this dirt road, Crowley's like, this is This is not like what I was. Mine was at least in the city. You could at least have left and been fine. It would take me a mile back to run all this way over here, and I'd probably die all the while. This is stupid. Basically just complaining that it's creepy. And then, of course, our main character's like, it was just as creepy being in a fucking house with a bunch of this weird Dracula bullshit all over the place. Again, I'm just trying to get us there. Because I was like, let's have this stupid bit with the car, but also give Crowley a gun. Or a flamethrower or something for him to survive. Anyway, so I was like, okay, that's how that happens. Also, you know what I would kind of prefer a little bit? Yeah, instead of it just being this like kind of like house that Crowley gets pulled to, what if it was like this super weird looking like abandoned movie theater, and then they went upstairs by the projector, and that's what that's where it could have been, like this ring embedded in this film, like just going. That could have been cool too, instead of it just being a house. It kind of seems boring being a house. Anyways, back to our wolf boy. They're making their way through this dirt road, and then of course they come across, they see these flames, sure, like these lit torches off in the distance, and of course they start making their way over there, again frantically whispering to each other, this is creepy, what's going on, I don't know, I just know we need to go this way. Anyways, they make their way towards this woods secluded place. Like there's tons of trees, but there's this path. As they start moving closer and closer to their destination through these trees, they notice that the trees are starting to get more and more like weird. So you know how roots get embedded to the ground and they sprawl out? It's almost like these roots are wrapped around the tree and then they go into the ground, but like that kind of this weird, unnerving kind of looking tree. Anyway, so they start progressing. They see more of these trees and they start getting bigger and more like fat. Anyways, Crowley has his gun and he's kind of pointing, and our main character is kind of just like, I should have asked for a gun. Honestly, I have nothing either. I just have my fucking dumb hands. Anyways, so they start progressing, and sure, let's have one of those stupid like monster movie moments where Crowley's like, "Hey, I mean, on the upside, there's no enemies. Go team." And then our main character looks at him like, "Why? Why would you do that?" And then boom, this fucking giant root monster again. What I kind of picture is if you guys have ever played Skyrim, there's like these again, like I mentioned, these elven kind of sprout looking things. Like they look like they're made of tree. And their arms are like these winding vines, and they summon forth like fingers and hands. So it drops down, feels pretty heavy. Our main character goes to punch, but our vine person grabs his hand and then tosses him to the side like nothing. And what I'm getting at is there are certain resistances, but these kind of elven things are very much the same as him in terms of like gaining sustenance from like the moon and then the environment, like the woods itself gives them strength, so they have a little bit more of a power up. So he gets smashed on the ground, but our boy Crowley, who hasn't had a real chance to shine, has come up with his flamethrower and just powers this person right in the face, and she crumbles to dust because of course these people have a weakness to fire. So anyways, our character gets up and says thanks, but also feels like a little bitch and wipes off the dust off himself. As they start progressing, more of these things start dropping. Boom, 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 as they're making their way there. So at this point, our main character is kind of taking the role of like diversion almost. So he uses his like that speed, that blink to kind of get behind them, and he starts taunting them as they start to turn to go and beat him, especially considering he is the thing that is fighting for this relic, so it's his challenge almost. The only reason why those stone people were coming at the one guy is because, or at the wolf, is because they thought that the other golem had him locked down and dead to rights. But Crowley burned his face and all these things, or burned her face, whatever. Anyways, so yes. He's using it himself as a diversion, and Crowley's just coming up behind him and burning all of them. And as they start getting closer and closer to this, finally it's this giant circle on the ground, and it's filled with all these engravings, or let's say like Mayan designs around this giant circle stone obelisk. And sure, let's say there's these giant fucking like blood antlers behind this stone. Torches every now and again are sprinkled around, just so you're not in the fucking dark. Anyways, so this giant stone obelisk, there's these crazy giant horns, like moose horns in the background, just like general, kind of like Mayan vibe, that kind of thing, like a berserker kind of like bone structure everywhere. Anyways, as they start getting closer and closer, Crowley says, "Oh, like I'm running low on fuel. This is the problem with building. If I don't have enough resources, I can't keep myself stocked, so I dwindle out." So the main character says, "It's okay. I think this is it." And then he takes a few steps up, and then now he's on the platform, and he kind of just like, there's nothing here. There's nothing to grab. There's no like relic. And again, this is one of those things where we're kind of skipping by, but there would be more things I would like to add, details and stuff like that, going into the way they feel and emotions. But again, I don't want to have the same part like last time, because we have more stuff to get to. Anyways, he says, they're like, there's nothing here. And then Crowley's like, well, shit, should we leave? And then as soon as he makes that suggestion, his knee just gets almost like gravity just completely crunches him straight to the ground, and his knee like cracks underneath that, that obelisk. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, note to self, don't do podcasts this back to back, because I start to dwindle out. Like, I was way excited last time, and this time I'm just trying to like present it properly, but I'm doing a terrible job. So I thought I'd pop in and do a little bit better of a one, maybe. Regardless, essentially what I'm getting at here is there's two things. As soon as they suggest that our wolf boy should leave, the wolf reacts like, no, and then just pushes him straight to the ground. And again, his knees anchored to the thing, and it basically cracked that circular platform. And where his knee cracked it, this black ooze starts to come up from the crack, and then the designs around this circle. So again, this is a giant circle with all these crazy mind-looking designs. Just crazy designs. Just think of that in your head. But anyways, this black tar starts seeping up from it. And as it starts to seep up, the main character starts feeling more and more of this gravitational push and pull. And let's have some fun with Crowley. Let's say, Crowley's blasting some person with fire, kind of fending them off, because I should have mentioned that there's, like, slowly they're trickling down these root monsters, let's call them. Anyway, so as Crowley's burning one, and he hears this giant, like, thud, and then like a droplet of water kind of hit. So he turns around, and our main character is nowhere to be found. And now, let hopefully my past, more tired self pick up, although I most certainly think I'll be back. But anyways, let us begin. And Crowley's like, shit. And we'll get back to that. So let's start doing what we did beforehand, where we were explaining Crowley's kind of perception. So let's go with our main character. Oh boy, I need like an apple. I need like to chill out. When I start thinking really hard, I start getting really warm. So that's why I'm like, oh, my brain's starting to get a little bit fried. Let me paint you guys the picture. Okay. The main character quickly stands up, and he finds himself, or like a place that is pitch black. Maybe with like a weird spotlight on him, so feels like he can see a certain amount around him, but not everywhere. And sure, let's say that. Let's say he says hello, and his voice echoes as if it's a tremendously giant room. And sure, let's say that too. Let's say that there's this black water-like substance all over the ground, up to your feet, just a little bit up below your ankle, let's say. And again, our main character can see some distance around him, just not very much. It eventually goes black and just ether. Anyways, our main character says hello, and a little bit far from his left, he notices that the water ripples. That wasn't him, like something else, like something tapped into the water and rippled that way. And the main character takes a step back, kind of like, what? Like, he understands there's something there. Anyways, let's open my eyes. It's hard to think with my eyes closed, honestly. Anyways, now, as soon as he takes a step back, the water, like, he hears a giant move, like something's crashing through that little water. And yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do it like this. Sure. Yeah, let's say our main character says, I'm just looking for my relic, my totem, my thing, and then something just pushes him in the right of his arm. And he looks down, and he has these giant fucking slashes in his bicep, let's say. And he goes, oh, and at this point he starts to back up, kind of like looking for something, and then again, boom, like this shout out of nowhere just comes and smacks him on his ass again, and again tore up his, let's say, chest. And at this point, our main character is bottled up, and he's getting up, and he's trying to protect all of his survival bits: chest, face, neck, throat, sorry, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually he starts hearing this growl, like this deep-seated, just menacing growl come from a certain direction. And again, he's kind of turtled up like that. And he's looking in this direction, and again, kind of like from an up-down perspective, you see the water slowly start to vibrate, and again the ripples happen as something gets closer and closer. But this time the main character is kind of just holding, maybe not even for fear's sake, but just holding because he's torn up and he's starting to bleed basically. So it's not that he doesn't want to step back, but he just doesn't. Anyways, he notices that finally this black tar, like fucking big beast, not like a skyscraper, but just like a very tall werewolf kind of thing, is standing there. Again, I very much see Van Helsing's werewolf, because I love that werewolf. That's my favorite werewolf probably ever. I know some people give CGI shit, but I thought that one looked so fucking dope, because it was like shredded, it was like human, but still had like the right amount of monster in it. Yeah, where sometimes it can just look like you're like a scrunchy little, like a pit bull, you know, like a little pit bull that's seems like anatomically just a mess. You know, like a lot of non-CGI monsters always come across as like very stouty, like, you know what I mean, like they just feel like they don't make sense. like whereas in Van Helsing there was moments where he walked as if he was human, but then when he fought he would utilize kind of like scrunching up like a dog and bursting off the wall and cracking someone in the face. Anyways, this giant beast with these menacing glowing eyes looking right at our main character. And there's something I kind of want to go into, the psyche of the main character. So again, our main character's superpower in this world is that he's not scared of monsters, but in this instance, it's not good. You know, it's one thing to not be scared of monsters overall, but when this monster slash you to shit, yeah, it's perfectly reasonable to be like, oh god, no, please, I'm gonna die, all these things. But one of the things I wanted to get at when it comes to this is that, again, and I mentioned in the past, so I'll be echoing some things here, but one of the things I constantly see in werewolf movies all the time is people disassociate the good things or the benefits of what this thing is doing for you, and they only see the negative. So again, a lot of times in monster movies, and again, I don't really like this trope, but the werewolf like devours a bunch of innocent people and just like is a complete berserker, just everything around him is dead, all these kinds of things, and then the main person like comes to and he's like, oh, I'm a monster, oh, I just did all this horrible shit, but then the other thing that they don't focus on is, oh, well, dude, you were about to die. Yeah, you just got shish kebabbed by a spear because some sort of dude just said fuck you, or whatever the instance is. Maybe he's like, you're not gonna sleep with my daughter, and bang, he stabbed him in the chest. And then you were sitting there bleeding out and the wolf pulled you back from the brink. Or maybe you were about to die, and the wolf gave you some strength. So you were able to hit hard enough to where you could cut through armor. You know, back in the medieval times when, let's say, that these things existed in this world. You were able to get that extra bit of strength that was able to get you that victory and keep you alive and surviving. But constantly in movies, it's always persuaded as like, no, it's just bad. It's just evil. It's just this untamable, wild animal. But the main character in this world, I wanted to be kind of different. So in this moment of him bleeding profusely and turtling up, he acknowledges that too. So instead of just being like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die, and be a little coward or whatever, he instead acknowledges that this thing was the whole reason why I'm even here. When I was able to make 4 more steps here, maybe I'll die here, but the whole reason is because this thing gave me strength in a time when I needed it, where I would have died if I didn't have it. So the main character takes that with him, and maybe he's a crazy person, but he takes a step forward, and the wolf's menacing growl lessens. And hello, ladies and gentlemen, me here in post and editing. Basically, I thought of a little bit better of an idea for this whole situation. One of the things is, if I was writing a novel, I thought this would be a good way to explain the character's backstory and himself to just a touch, not too much. Don't want to go into it massively. If this was a book and the readers were introduced to his character really, really quick, to me, this would be a good way of explaining who the hell our main character is. So to me, I see it like this. Our main character is facing this giant menacing werewolf, and he's torn to shit. His left hand is cupping the claw marks slashed into his side of his kidneys around there, and his arm is still up trying to guard his face. But, like I said, I would like the character to realize the fact that, yes, I'm terrified, I'm going to die right now, but the only reason why I've even gotten this far is because of this thing, this monster. And for some ungodly reason, he takes a step forward. And as he takes that step, he notices that the beast's growls get lessened. And at this point, I kind of want to run down our main character's kind of mental space. And basically, he's falling apart. Not only is he aware of the fact that the beast stopped growling, so he thinks he's on the right path, but also he's kind of loopy. He's bleeding out, he's got a lot of blood loss, and he's stuck in this situation that is impossible for anyone to be prepared for. even him, someone who loves monsters and knows a lot about them. So in this blood-lost, crazy state, our main character takes a deep breath, starts rambling and mumbling to himself about how that he was just going to have a fun night experiencing the holiday that he loves so dear. And he laughs to himself and he says, "Ha, I even made a friend. Yeah, he's out there now. He came all this way just for my dumb ass to meet you. Oh, well, he's probably going to die. Can't say I'm surprised. Never really was good at hanging on to friends." And as he's saying this, just kind of rambling to himself, he's kind of passively building up this courage to get closer and closer to the beast. And as he does this, the growls start to go quieter and quieter. But these menacing eyes still are piercing through him. But the main character is kind of lost in thought and just keeps rambling. And our main character smiles and says, I always wanted a dog. My parents never let me actually have one, though. I'd always imagine us going on adventures and protecting me. I got the shit kicked out of me quite a bit for my weird hobby. Maybe if I had that dog, he would have pulled me from the fire, chased away the bullies and the people that wanted to hurt me for what I liked. Maybe he would have saved that poor, crying, weak child. And right as he says that, and he's looking off in the distance, he hears a Crowley kind of grunt, and sure, let's say he says, "Get away from me, you bastard," as it echoes far in the distance. And at this point, our main character is right on top of this wolf. And in a crazed, blood-lost state, he cracks a smile as he looks into the abyss that is that wolf's eyes. And as he raises his hand, taking it off of his side, which was holding his wound from bleeding so much, and as soon as he takes it off, it starts bleeding like crazy. With a crazy, crooked smile, he looks at the wolf and says, "It's too late to save that child, for I was wondering if we could save one other." And as he says this, he clenches his blood-soaked hand and places it over the beast's chest and looks down at the ground as he starts to feel the blood loss. And hard cut stop. Perfect. Okay, so that's what's happening on his end. He's in this weird, black tar land, communing with his beast that feels very much shunned a little bit, because not only was it fooled by the lich a little bit, but basically he's not getting acknowledged at all. He's a big reason why he survived, or even how he got any of the things he did. So he kind of feels like backhanded, which is why he fucking tore him up when he first saw him. But again, one of the things that one of the things, the reason why the wolf is going to basically accept him is that he said us. Because again, it's not about because again, also that's another reason why he didn't tore him up, is because he took a step back when he almost afraid of him, and he was kind of like, "I'm the whole reason why you're alive, you piece of shit," and then tore him up. But anyways, that's getting into the wolf psyche as well. Let's go back to our demon boy. So at this point, there's not a lot to cover here. He's basically flaming people up, fending off things, just trying to survive, kind of saying, "Where the hell are you? This is stupid." And in his psyche, he's kind of stuck, because he thinks, maybe I should just run. I should just get the fuck out of here. This is stupid. Why am I even here? But then that question, why is he even here, rings in his head. And he remembers what just happened, what they just went and did with him. And he remembers that he was the person that kind of ran ahead, in that hall. And he's like, "Oh, there's my thing." And he runs ahead. And the main character was all the way back at the beginning of the hall. And he kind of thinks to himself, he could have ran away. He could just turned around and ran. And sure, let's say he even thinks back about how that person that he saved, that person that had the fallen her, tripped him and left him for dead. And those two moments kind of cement him as nope, fuck that. I'm not gonna. But that's also the counter to him, is that the events that happened prior to him makes him very jaded for new people. He's not very open to having friends anymore, not even acquaintances. But he is keen on having banking on the friend that pulled him from the fire, basically. So that's kind of the way he morphed in that way, and that's why we had all those pillars, is so that this could happen. Where basically he says, "No, not gonna happen. I'm not gonna run, even though it's crazy and I should. I'm not gonna run because this person stayed one he shouldn't have. Maybe he's crazy, maybe he's just a freak, who knows? But he didn't run away. He wasn't like her, who tripped me and let me die after I helped. So I'm not going to be that either." It's almost like his morality made him rise to the occasion, but only for him, because of the fact that other people shit on him, and that kind of stays with him to a degree. Anyway, we'll come back to our boy. We'll come back to our demon boy in a minute. jump back to Wolf. So again, as he went like this and he put his hand on his chest as kind of like to the wolf, like, what do you say? Do you want to go help our friend? And again, that's the way that I made the dialogue. It was all basically trying to like appease the wolf unintentionally, if anything, but still kind of intentionally, if anything, because not only does he say, you know, us, not only does he acknowledge the fact that he's helped him, but the other thing is that he acknowledges that there's a person that's helped him that he wants to help. And the reason why I say that is because in Native American mythos, the wolf, if you go and look at you can go to a library and find a book that says, all right, well, these are all the things that in Native American culture these animals represent. You can flip through it and see if any of the traits that these things have were one to you. And if you are, and if they are, then you're that animal. Congratulations. And I remember my Native American teacher, because I am Native American, was reading a bunch of these to me, and one of the things she got to the page of the wolf, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, I have more in common with what do you call it, the owl or something like that, or all these other ones. I didn't really find myself falling in the like warrior or anything, and I was like, okay, the wolf. But I read through it, or she read through it, and so shockingly, the wolf is not a representation for power or like force. It's a representation for loyalty, pack, family man, a person that cares for people in its community, that is vicious in its protection of what is considered its pack, its family. So that is something that the wolf really, really appreciated when he said, you know, out of all the reasons for him to like initiate help from the wolf, it was to protect something that he would determine at this point to be a friend or a member of the pack. So that was also another thing that I kind of wanted to get at, that the wolf's like, all right, sure. But anyways, back to the thing, because we're running out of time. The main character kind of like puts his hand on his chest and says, will you help me, basically, in the way that we described, or in the vocal dialogue that we described. And then he kind of comes to as he opens up his eyes, and he sees that he has this it's a necklace in his hand, and the wolf's gone. And the way I see the necklace is it's a blood red fang, this giant fang. And again, one of the like, it's not like a fang that's like this, like super hooked. It's just like a fang that's like this, like an actual fang. You know, a lot of times they issue teeth and it's like a fucking giant hook. And I'm like, that's not how it works, man. Especially his giant canine would need to be somewhat straight so that it can dig in. If it had a curve in it, it would just fucking push his teeth forward. Anyways, it's just a giant kind of fang that's more straight than it is curved. But except it's blood red. It's almost like it's not an actual tooth. It's like a piece of jewelry, like a gem, like a red gem that's in the shape of a tooth. And it's got a cord around it. So anyways, he sees it, and hard cut to back to our demon boy. So at this point, he's completely out of what do you call it, gas. He takes his thing, his contraption, and throws it at one of like the tree monsters, let's call them. And then he kind of stumbles back and he trips and he falls. We're really getting into the fall thing, but anyways, he falls and he's sitting there like, shit. And as this thing's about to wind up and slash him, of course, out of nowhere, our fucking wolf boy pops out of that fucking pool, sure, let's go fucking like Conan the Barbarian out of it, and out of that black tar he pulls up and he's covered in this black like water tar, screaming with his fangs fully, like just his fangs out, and except this time his hands, which are normally like bone hands, the very tips of them have these this black kind of claw-like thing. Demon dude looks over like shit, and all the monsters look over, and in a second, boom, he's on top of them. With the same person that was about to smack Crowley, he's right on top of them, and just completely like butter, just right through, right in half. And at this point, the wolf is running with him. It's full force, right beside each other. They're tearing shit up. And again, one of the things I want to, if I were writing a story about this, every time he makes contact with or uses anything, whether it's this insane burst of speed, boom, to where he's right on top of them in a split second, or this brutal power. Every single time you hear this growl, and every single time you do it more and more and more, you hear this growl gets louder and louder and louder, and that's kind of the deterrent that he sees, and that's kind of like the whole, oh man. Yeah, I guess we can talk about it, I guess. But that's kind of the deterrence, and I guess it's a good time to explain some of the wolf's aspects, because this is the most wolf time we're going to get for a while, I guess. So one of the traits that I really, really like is, and I came up with this because whenever you walk a dog, I know it's kind of a weird thing, and this is across all of where people in this world. Whenever you walk your dog, if you ever pass him, like kind of like an untrained dog, if you pass your dog while you're walking him, the dog will almost like fight immediately to get right back in front of you. So there's an underlying thing here. How do you get stronger as a werewolf? And that's essentially it. Whereas in so much media that I watch, whenever they talk about werewolves, for instance, one of the things is Underworld. For whatever reason, the people like always turn on the werewolf instantly. Like they're like, someone punched me in the face. Werewolf, boom, and then they turn into a werewolf, and I'm like, what? Like it's just used as this like quick patch, like fuck it, boom, who cares if I murder a family, boom, let's turn it on, and they go nuts. Which to me, I'm like, okay, sure, but to me, in my world, baby, that's how you get the wolf stronger. Is the longer you go, or sorry, the more combat you experience without using the werewolf, the more strong your werewolf becomes. Now, the reason why is because it's playing off that same thing. And very much so, there'll be things that I kind of want to show in the thing where we kind of like a visualization of it, but I'll tell you guys now, I guess. But basically, the werewolf and the person are like running through a field. That's kind of like the analogy that I run to in our character's mind. They're running through a field. And again, the main character sees the wolf as his helper, this person that's helped him greatly and giving him this great power. But with that being said, he also sees him as this person that he's not worthy of. You know, like he's gaining this power, but he doesn't really feel like he can control it that much or anything like that. So he wants to work towards controlling it, and not even just controlling it, but understanding it and being worthy of it. So he wants to strengthen his outer self and not just depend on the werewolf. But by doing that, he stumbled on the rule of werewolves, which is the harder you work without using that power, that ultimate form for that power, the stronger that ultimate form gets. Because again, it's like the same thing as it's like you running ahead of a dog. When the dog will always try to get farther of you, and if you run harder and he runs harder and you run harder and he runs harder, you'll just be evolving incredibly quickly and getting such stronger so quickly. But another thing that the main character kind of realizes is, okay, I can use the werewolf's power in spurts, but I can't go too hard or else I'll just transform. So basically, the character gets really good at existing in this plane of like momentary berserker kind of tendencies. And when we talk about the lich and how it's kind of like calm, cool, collected, and dead inside because it's an undead, it plays with a cool fighting style to where most of the time it's this calm, accurate, kind of like militaristic kind of fighting, but then out of nowhere, just this ravenous strength or this brutal execution out of nowhere, which I think would be a cool mechanic. But anyways, yes, so our boy is just tearing through things within some parameter. Again, he's kind of, him and the wolf came to that understanding of, okay, I'll pull your friend out of the fire, let's do that together. So they do. So for this like limited moment in time, he's shining. He's just tearing through these root people like they're butter, whereas beforehand they were giving him some grief because they're part of the same kind of resistance family. But when the wolf's behind him like this, not so much. But he's not transformed, by the way. He just basically, the wolf has given him though that perk of like a bit of the power from his full transformation as well as his claws. So he's just shredding people, grabbing them, moving incredibly quickly, beating their face in. Sure, let's even do one of those. The last enemy that he fights, he just goes to town and slashes them like 1,000 times to where there's just nothing. There's just legs. So there was this full root man that's just like bang, 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 and just completely down to his knees, chopped to pieces. And then the main character sure is like, and then eventually he cools down as one dude comes up and he's like, "You good?" Sure, maybe even says our character's name, which we haven't even come up with. You good? Everything okay? And the main character looks at him with these like extra glowing, piercing eyes. But sure, let's say that he moved so quickly that he blew some of the candles out because of the sheer force of our speed. Anyways, so only his eyes are ignited, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, better than ever kind of thing, where because the wolf is basically like a adrenaline, like instinct, like fury. So that's the kind of the feeling where I want this character who's usually pretty calm, cool, and collected and kind, to when he does dip into that power, kind of has a personality alteration where he's like, yeah, like this just violent berserker kind of thing. But anyways, Demon Boy walks up to him and is like, hey, did you get what you came for? And then the main character pulls up his the necklace that he's wearing, and he's like, yep, right here. Ooh, and he starts feeling like the fatigue almost, like of him using that kind of that force for maybe too long a little bit. Anyways, the dude asks what happened. Sure, let's say he explains, I had to have confront the wolf to a degree. And he's like, oh, how did that go? And he explains to him, not great. Honestly, at first, wasn't great. But I think we're on the same page now. And he kind of does a fist bump towards the necklace. I'm happy you two worked it out. Well, the night is still young and I'm still useless. What do you say? Want to come tag along and find some more relics? Or something to that effect. And the main character gets up and is like, let's do it. And then that's where we're going to end off on. I kind of rushed that last part about what they said, but I need to stop the video. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We unlocked the wolf and we unlocked the demon. And now in the next part, we have to get our boy Crowley to be able to do a lot more now. We need to get him going, get him smooth sailing, so to speak. So yes, we will get that in the next part. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Yes, in the next part, we will be getting Crowley, his relic, which is going to be the key that unlocks his kind of power and gets him on track for being who he is. In terms of personality-wise, he'll go back to being a confident kind of like, I got this kind of thing. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time again. Subscribe button over there, as well as 2 videos to my far right. Thank you so much for your time, and goodbye.